Hi. In this masterclass, you'll learn two things. One, how to overcome your social anxiety completely to the point where you're calm, relaxed, and at ease in social situations. And two, I'll tell you about my connection and adventure retreat. If you watch this all the way to the end, you've learned how to become anxiety free and you understand the psychology behind it. And this is not your typical change your thought, face your fears approach. This is about how to overcome your social anxiety without forcefully facing your fears. So for people that are watching this that don't know me, my name is Sebastian van der Schrier. I'm a former social anxiety disorder sufferer and I'm a social confidence coach, and I help people to go from social anxiety to social confidence using unconventional approaches, energy psychology, and I combine that with Western traditional psychology. And you'll hear more about that in a short while. So I've been coaching socially anxious clients since 2009. I've logged 5,000 coaching hours, and I run a podcast where I interview healers, coaches, best-selling authors, psychologists, psychotherapists, researchers for their best social anxiety solutions, and I have a YouTube channel as well. And I'm the how do you say that? The host, the owner, the runner of the first social confidence online community. We're 9 months in, and I also have a social confidence system. Anyway, so that's a bit about me. Let's go back to the presentation. All right, ever had any of these challenges? I made a little list. Your heart racing 100 miles an hour, fearing that you'll embarrass or humiliate yourself, your mind going blank, believing that you're boring. By the way, these examples are examples from me and from clients. Fearing that you'll be the center of attention, feeling awkward, making or maintaining eye contact, being worried about how others perceive you, fearing their judgment, being afraid that you'll be ignored or criticized or put down or rejected or made fun of, feeling inferior to others, blushing, and then people noticing that you're blushing, feeling that people are out to get you, worrying that they don't like you, feeling anxious about going to school or work or some social event or the weekend, like anticipatory anxiety, avoiding social interactions with others, feeling lonely because you miss out on that connection, fearing that people will see you anxious, fearing you'll become anxious again and worrying about it all the time and not being able to have peace of mind until you've got this problem in your life fixed, feeling angry and frustrated about having social anxiety, ashamed about having it, worried you'll never overcome it, and fearing that you'll suffer from it for the rest of your life, that you'll never beat it and you'll be anxious forever. Well, me too. Yeah. Here's a bit of my story. I'll keep it short. My social anxiety didn't start until I was 11 or 12. I was made fun of by my favorite teacher. And from that moment, I had a blushing problem. And whenever I was the center of attention and there were topics of sex or girls or looks or just being criticized or saying, hey, you're red or whatever, I would start blushing. And my anxiety started there because I started to become afraid of that happening again. Then at 15 or 16, when girls came into the picture, my anxiety got even worse. And I didn't know what I was dealing with. I just knew that I felt like crap. And, it was pretty bad. Like I walked the newspaper and I can remember I would have to drop newspapers in the mailboxes, and I'd be worried about how my arms would be swinging. I'm like, should I swing them? Am I swinging them too much? Should I keep them closer to my body? Just like massive insecurity. When I would take the bus, it felt like everyone was staring at me and that they were observing me. And I was afraid to meet someone that I knew because then I would have to start a conversation. And what if that conversation gets awkward? I was really afraid of awkward situations and like them being the center of attention while that would happen. When an attractive girl would come into the room, I would freeze up. And I'd be unable to say something. If I was addressed by one of them, I would blush. It was just a disaster. And I didn't know what I was dealing with for a while.
until I eventually, I found some online dating information, and that talked about, how to talk to girls. And, I read that information, and that was quite inspiring. I'm like, oh my God, there's hope that one day I'll have a girlfriend. And, but it was actually quite a lot of manipulation and persuasion and those kinds of tactics. So that actually made my social anxiety worse, because now I was even more concerned about how I was coming across, and I had to do it right, and I couldn't do it wrong. And this was attractive and that was unattractive, and I had to have this body language, couldn't say this, had to say that. That only made me more in my head, made me even more anxious. So that wasn't helpful. But one of the things that I did learn in there was the idea that you have an inner game. That's what they were talking about. So, and with that, they were referring to your inner psychology, and that the problems that I was having was, anxiety or insecurity and fear, and these could be resolved if you would change your inner psychology. And that gave me really a feeling of hope. It's like, oh wow, there is something that I'm dealing with. It is a problem, and it's actually something that I can overcome if I do these things that they say that I have to do in order to overcome my psychological problem. Now, what they suggested was like self-talk, journaling, affirmations, visualizations, facing your fears. And, I did a bunch of these things. Um, I won't tell the whole story. I've told it so many times, but I'll give you a summary. So I tried all these things to face my fear. So I did public speaking at Toastmasters. I give like 3 or 4 speeches. I'd feel super anxious at the start of it, but afterwards I'm like, yeah, I feel confident. Um, I had a dating coach fly over to Amsterdam, and he would help me talk to girls. So he would point out girls and groups of girls, and I would have to go over and start conversations with them. And I would have to start the conversation with like what they call an opinion opener. So I'd have to go over and to a group of girls. He would first demonstrate how to do it, and it did really work for him. For me, eventually a little bit as well. But I have to go over and say, "Excuse me, I can only stay a second, but can I have a quick female opinion on something?" And they're like, yeah, sure. Who lies more, men or women? And they, that would engage me in a conversation. So shit scared of doing it. But at the end of the day, I felt more confident, and I'm like, wow, I can do this. Soon after that, a week later, all that confidence was gone. They suggested, well, someone suggested that you can become rejection proof if you purposely get yourself rejected. So I went to the city and had a friend point out girls or groups of girls that I would walk over to and say, hey, you like me, give me your number. Well, that's a good way to get rejected. And so I got rejected over and over and over, and it was super scary. And, it's a fun story to tell for me now, but I've told it so many times, but it definitely wasn't fun then. I was absolutely terrified. I couldn't sleep days in advance of doing this. This was extreme torture. So anyway, but I did it. Same story at the end. Supreme confident. I'm like, yeah, I'm the man. Look at this, And then I went home to celebrate, smoking a big joint. And a couple of days later, all that insecurity was back, and I would get embarrassed again, and I was ashamed again, and nothing really helped. What else did I do? All right, embarrassing myself. Like there's this concept of flooding where you do the thing that you're afraid of most. Well, like I said, I had a problem with blushing, and I feared embarrassing myself and feeling humiliated. And so I bought the brightest red lipstick, smeared it over my eyes, circles around my eyes and on my lips, and then went into the city and starting conversations with people and like, hey, how's it going? And people would like give me like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And they would say that, but part of the assignment was that I would pretend like this is me, this is how I normally show up in the world, lipstick and everything. And so that was super awkward and uncomfortable in the beginning as well, but at the end I had the confidence, but it was fleeting and it just disappeared. So, all of that didn't work for me. Yeah, so back to the presentation. Because here's how I found the solution. Exactly. So I then eventually stumbled onto NLP, which I did, neuro-linguistic programming. and I got my degree as an NLP practitioner. It was fascinating. I'm like, wow, this sounds like the magic pill. This is going to help me overcome my social anxiety. And the trainers were so confident. I wasn't a 7-day retreat. I did 2 months of CVs studying beforehand. This was in South Africa. It was like a $3,000 study or something, and people were getting great results on that NLP training, except for me. Nothing shifted for me. And I also did there was also two-day Ericksonian hypnotherapy training there as well. I'm like, did nothing for me either. I worked with a timeline therapist, the girl who was on that, who was one of the leaders of the retreat as well, did nothing for me either. And so, wah, 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 wah. But then eventually I found an online video of this guy who I've since met, actually, which is kind of funny. Guy's name is Magnus. He has a tapping website, tapping.com. And I found a video of him saying, well, this is a technique that helps where often nothing helps. And, you tap on your face and your body and it's going to help you release these emotions. I'm like, yeah, right. It's got to be a scam, right? But I tried it out, didn't work, but I was desperate enough to give it another go. And so I went onto a forum, and I one of these EFT forums, and I typed in like, hey, is this the real deal or what? And I got tons of responses people saying, it changed my life, this is for real, it's so amazing, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, this is encouraging. I downloaded the free EFT manual. It teaches you the basics of how it works. Read that, got a bit more convinced that this could potentially work, even though it sounded really weird and out there. Then I contacted, or I went to the website looking for FAQs to see what I might be doing wrong, because I'm still not getting any results. And I'm tapping on my face and I'm still not getting any results. And then I ordered the DVDs from the website, the original DVDs of the founder of this technique of EFT. I'll get into what it is in a bit. But on these DVDs, I think it's 40 or 60 hours, you saw the founder of this technique and other practitioners of it, psychologists, social workers, psychotherapists who had mastered this technique, working with people with post-traumatic stress disorder, low self-esteem, belief that they're not good enough, anxiety about driving, water phobia, spider phobia, snake phobias, and they would resolve these issues in no time. And you could see that this was not staged. This was for real. Like, I could see that this was really, people were making these transformations. And that was very inspiring for me to see, because I'm like, okay, if it works for them, then there might be a chance that this could actually work for me. But still no results. So eventually I got back to the Netherlands after staying in South Africa for a year. And there I phoned a practitioner, an EFT practitioner in the Netherlands. And I told him, hey, this is my problem. I'm blushing. I'm anxious. I feel scared. I'm insecure. And it gets triggered all over the place. And I don't know what to do. And I heard about tapping. And he's like, just come to one of these retreats. I have the word retreat in my head. Just come to my workshop and we'll see what we can do. Went to the workshop, and then they taught us the technique. And then it was time to work in dyads. So one person observes, one person is the practitioner, one person is the client. Now, when I was observing, this girl was applying the technique to the other girl, and the girl had like a sadness that she rated 6 out of 10 strong. She did the tapping, and a couple of minutes later, that sadness was gone. She couldn't even bring it back. And I was observing it. I'm like, wow, does work. Exciting. My turn to be the practitioner. I worked with the girl, and it was a fear. And I don't know, I'm just roughly guessing of what this was. Maybe it was a 7 out of 10, and a couple of minutes later, she had no fear anymore. Great. I'm like, I'm good at this. And then, but they then had to work with me, and they couldn't do anything with me because they couldn't bring up any emotion in me. They didn't know what to focus on or how to do it. So they brought in the workshop leader, and he asked me a couple of difficult questions, and soon enough he was getting to the problem. And he had me talk about how, and I'm like a 20-year-old guy at this moment, and he had me talk about how I hadn't had sex um, in a long time. I think I had sex maybe once or twice, and I didn't have a girlfriend, and I was massively ashamed of that. That was like my biggest secret, and now I was sharing that in front of these two women and him, and so I became bright red. And he's like, "Great, now apply the technique." And then as I applied the technique, it was like the shame and embarrassment and insecurity just like it flushed out of my body. I describe it as like a plug is being pulled. If you take a bath and you pull out the plug, it all goes away. Well, this went a lot faster than that. It was just like like a relaxation. And I in a few minutes I felt calm, I felt relaxed, I felt at ease, and something had shifted inside, like a shift that I hadn't felt with any of the other techniques that I had done before. And now I could talk about it, that I didn't have a girlfriend, or whatever the sentences were, or whatever the topic was. I could talk about it freely, like I had accepted it. I wasn't judging myself for it anymore. I wasn't ashamed for it anymore, because that shame had processed. And that was a profound transformation. Now, that definitely didn't solve my social anxiety, but what it did do was it gave me a technique. I'm like, wow, I can use this to overcome my social anxiety. And, that's what I did. So there we go. Back to the presentation. All right. So how my life is now. So I live quite a nice life. I live in Bali, Indonesia, and I've been anxiety free for years. And it might sound like a big deal if you still have social anxiety, but it actually isn't a big deal. It's just something normal, or at least I've gotten accustomed to it. So I when I wake up, I work, but I look forward to meeting up with my friends. In the evening these days, I go dancing because I've gotten into salsa dancing last year, and I'm super excited about it, and I love it. I have close friends that I enjoy spending time with. I feel at ease. I speak my mind. I'm basically just normal, like a normal person that doesn't have anxiety, like how you feel when you're comfortable with people, but then with all people. So that's what the work has done for me. And you know, I say I've been anxiety free for years. That's true, but it might be a bit of a generalization. For example, 4 years ago, I think I started with a podcast. Well, I had never done that. So when I started with the podcast, I was a little bit anxious about it, a little bit nervous about it. But because I have these techniques, I worked through it, and voila. And because I had done the work, I felt confidence. I felt confident starting these new things. Same thing with salsa. So next bit of the presentation. Here we go. For example, I started salsa dancing April of last year, 2018, and I wasn't totally comfortable with that in the beginning. I had some low-level anxiety on the dance floor the first couple of times. Kind of makes sense. I looked like a dumbass. Women actually didn't want to dance with a beginner. I got the pity dances. I made them look bad. I was failing and looking bad on the dance floor. But I was okay with it. Now, this would have been impossible to do when I still had social anxiety. I'd feel totally awkward, ashamed, insecure, anxious, and humiliated. But because of the mindset and inner strength that I've been fortunate enough to cultivate as a result of the inner work that I've done over the years, it was easy to manage and actually a lot of fun. The video that you're watching now is from a couple of days ago. So it's a different story. There's a lot of practice into that. And I'm just average at best. Anyway, thanks to knowing energy psychology, energy psychology is the umbrella. EFT is a spoke in this umbrella, tapping. And, thanks to energy psychology and knowing how to apply it properly, I was able to move past all of these worries, fears, and concerns that came up when I started dancing. And so I was comfortable on the dance floor a lot faster than most people that even started. And nowadays, I'm on a dance floor and I'm totally at ease. I'm free to be myself, even though I'm not the best dancer there. That's right. So now we're back in screen. Let me just ask you guys, can you just tell me if you heard that and if you could see that, even though the video was a bit vague? Can someone just say Yes. Then. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Just seeing if we're technically still going strong. All right. So when I look back at it, it's really an amazing transformation that I've made. I was speaking with my coach the other day because we started working together about 10 years ago. And she's like, look at what you've made out of yourself. You were this cocky little brat that thought he had it figured out, all anxious and insecure and blah. So it's quite an amazing transformation when I look back. But it's actually quite normal to me now. Not quite, it's totally normal to me now. I'm just used to it. It's familiar. Like anything that is new, it's only new for a while and then you just get used to it. And it's not that I'm special, it's just that I found something that worked. I've been lucky enough to find something that works. And then I figured out how to make it work for me. If there's anything that I pride myself in, or that I'm happy about with myself, is that I'm very persistent. And I knew that I'm not going to give up until I have my social freedom. So there you go. So a bit about, this is so great going back and forth between these presentations. So that's about me. Here are some of my clients' results.
I felt inferior to people when I walked into a room. It didn't matter like who the person was or how long I had known that person or anything. It was like a deeply instilled belief that I had. And you helped me with that. And from that day on, I have never ever one time felt like someone was above me. I just felt like everyone is on the same level. Like now on the company that I work on, like me and the CEO, I don't see him above me one bit. Like I see him as a friend, a really good friend. So that has been super.
I saw quite a lot of lasting results. I'll give you one example. So whenever there's like someone who looks a bit rough coming down the street, I'd always cross the road, But I worked through some of the memories and to why I think that might be the case. And then I was walking down the street one day and I saw someone, a rough looking person coming towards me, but I didn't really have the same reaction. I was kind of like, oh, they're the type of person that would, I don't know, be an arsehole to me. Whatever. I walked past them and nothing happened. I didn't feel one way or the other. That is like, oh, that's done now. It's just that those memories have been put to rest.
But after the coaching, and just like gradually, I got out of the cycle of that habitual isolation, and it got to the point where I started like seeking to go places and really wanting to get out of the house and do something.
Okay.
Yeah. Another benefit I would say, just self-acceptance, man. I think that's been a big one for me. And that's another thing too. I feel like I've been more able to just express myself without fear of judgment or criticism. It's definitely these past couple of weeks. It's just kind of express myself, and if someone doesn't like me, okay, like all right, that's fine. And there's been a lot of peace in that. So yeah, it's amazing to me. It's times throughout my day to where I just significantly notice the differences that tapping has made, and it's just like, wow, I wasn't comfortable doing this a couple months ago, and it works, man. It works miracles. Like that's my overall message right there.
Now, what I'm inviting a select few of you to today is something really special and unique. I've put together a connection and adventure retreat in paradise, also known as Bali, Indonesia, where I live. Now,
This retreat is totally different from the forcefully facing your fears approach. Instead, we use the best of traditional psychology and combine it with the incredibly powerful energy psychology techniques. Now, I'm confident this is the fastest way to resolve your social anxiety and feel at ease and relaxed and comfortable in social situations. Right. So I would have expected that by now I would have explained what EFT is. So little brief interruption. EFT, the tapping thing that I was talking about, is a psychological form of acupuncture, but instead of using needles, you tap at the tips of your fingers on specific acupressure points on the body. It looks really silly, it looks really bizarre, but it's scientifically proven to be effective. And what it does is it releases the emotions connected to the problem that you have. So social anxiety is an emotional problem. With the tapping, you can release the emotions. All right, let's continue. Now, what I'm inviting a select few of you to today is something really... Oh my God. Sorry, people. Now, what I'm inviting a select few of you to today is something really special and unique. I've put together a connection and adventure retreat in paradise, also known as Bali, Indonesia, where I live. Now, this retreat is totally different from the forcefully facing your fears approach. Instead, we use the best of traditional psychology and combine it with the incredibly powerful energy psychology techniques. Now, I'm confident this is the fastest way to resolve your social anxiety and feel at ease and relaxed and comfortable in social situations. So here are the specifics. From April 18 to April 24, about a month from now, myself and my best mate Tom and 7 people suffering from social anxiety will spend our waking hours in a beautiful retreat villa, the one that you're seeing right now, in Bali, Indonesia, in Ubud. As you can see, it's palm trees, infinity swimming pool overlooking the rice paddies, the works. It's the ideal setting to make a big positive change in your life. You'll have your own incredible room and privacy, and you'll be surrounded by lush tropical nature. It's awesome. You know, it's super exciting when I saw the place. Anyway, during these 7 days, our sole focus is for you to get rid of your social anxiety without needing to forcefully face your fears. So how are we going to do this? Here's how. There will be 2 transformational workshops with our group each day. One in the morning, one in the evening. And because we're using the power of energy psychology, this is actually not painful. In fact, it's rather gentle and often a lot of fun. And we can make deep changes really quickly. Now, cognitive behavioral therapy, changing your thoughts and changing your behavior, has some merit. But in my opinion, there's a key component missing. Effectively addressing the emotional side of the social anxiety problem. See, social anxiety is for the most part an emotional problem. It's not just irrational thinking. You already know it doesn't make sense to feel anxiety, and that it doesn't make sense to feel so scared of getting rejected or being made fun of, or of people in general. Of course, rejection ultimately isn't the end of the world, and you know that you'll survive it. And sure, not taking yourself so seriously is indeed a good idea. And yes, you know that what others think shouldn't matter so much to you, and that it's their business, and they're not constantly busy observing and judging you. You know all of this, but yet you can't stop feeling that way. Knowing all these logical, realistic truths on a cognitive level won't stop you from becoming embarrassed. It won't stop you from feeling awkward. It won't deflate your insecurity, and it definitely doesn't eliminate your social anxiety. Now, it's indeed helpful to challenge unhelpful thinking. And when you feel anxious, it's beneficial to try to soothe yourself by saying that it's okay, that it will pass, that it's just a false alarm going off, and so on. That's all somewhat helpful, but it doesn't stop your anxiety. It doesn't get to the root of it. Your emotion is always stronger than your thinking. You can't outthink your anxiety. When it's strong emotion versus your thinking, guess who's going to win? It's your emotions. They will win every single time. And so since your social anxiety is mostly an emotional problem, you need to address it on an emotional level. And that's exactly what we'll be doing in these daily workshops and throughout the retreat. Now, we'll also address irrational thinking, but in my experience, that only takes up a very small part of the social anxiety problem. The biggest changes come from when you're able to release and let go of the shame, the insecurity, the fear, and the anxiety that holds you back. You know, whether you're aware of it or not, you're currently actually reliving the emotional pain from your past. It's old emotions from when you were 7 and when you were 12 and when you were 8 that get re-triggered in the here and now. These old emotions and the limiting beliefs they are connected to, which form the perception of danger socially, is the real problem. And with energy psychology, you can release these emotions and beliefs quickly and effectively without needing to force yourself to face your fears. So we get to the root of why your fear and anxiety is there in the first place, and we clear the emotional trauma there. And this powerfully works to release your social anxiety. And you know, that's not just my personal and professional experience. Energy psychology is backed up by science. It is scientifically proven to be effective. There are over 100 research studies, review articles, and meta-studies that have been published in professional peer-reviewed journals. Multiple studies have found that energy psychology methods effectively treat anxiety, trauma, and PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And prominent people recommend it as well. Here we go. Bessel van der Kolk, professor of psychiatry, Boston University School of Medicine. Energy psychology techniques and procedures can bring about remarkably rapid changes in the way people feel. Wayne Dyer, you know, he's no longer alive, but he's a famous personal development author, and he was a psychologist as well. He says, this really works. I've had great results with tapping in my own life. Bruce Lipton, PhD, author of The Biology of Belief. EFT is a simple, powerful process that can profoundly influence gene activity, health, and behavior. Nathaniel Brandon, PhD, author of The 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem. The techniques of energy psychology have provided me with invaluable tools for working with trauma. No therapist can afford to remain ignorant of this new and exciting field.
How will we use energy psychology to clear your social anxiety? Well, here's how. At the beginning of the retreat, I will figure out what everyone's biggest fears are and what everyone's biggest, most sticky limiting beliefs are, and we will deal with them. So we have 2 workshops every day, one in the morning and one in the evening. Now, in the morning workshop, we'll look at what's going on for everyone, and I'll also be announcing the adventure of the day, and that is likely going to bring up people's fears and beliefs, which is then what we will work through in those workshops, so that prior to doing these adventures, you actually we use these adventures as a way to bring up the stuff, and then we release it prior to going to these adventures. Now, what are these adventures? Well, I have to go back to my presentation to show you. All right. Going inside pyramids, the ones that you can see here now, to undergo sound healing. Going on a sunset hike in the rice paddies. Visiting a beautiful waterfall with our group and going for a swim and a picnic. Wearing traditional clothes and getting a water blessing. Going to an evening sauna. You know, you don't have to get naked. It's not like that, but you know, going to an evening sauna and sitting around a campfire, and a lot more adventures like this. Well, while they are amazing adventures, when I announce that in the morning, it might bring up your fears and it might bring up your beliefs, which we'll then work through. And then we actually go and have the experience together. And then, you know, you might get triggered there, and if so, Tom and I will be there to help facilitate and shift little things around. There won't be long sessions, drawn out sessions in the moment, most likely, because in the evening we have another workshop, and in that workshop,
It's like, all right, so what came up for you today as we did X activity? And then people, we all share, and then I'll help people release what came up. Next day, we do the same thing in the morning. All right, we're going to do this today. How do you feel about that? All right, what are the fears that you have? And this is going to bring up the common fears and beliefs that you normally have in your day-to-day life. And if not, I'll provoke you to have your biggest fears and beliefs come up. And then I'll help you move through that. Okay? Definitely. All right, let's see if I wanted to say something else about that. I don't think so. Right, yeah. So you'll be somewhat outside of your comfort zone, but not too much, and not the whole time. And by this kind of setup, workshop, adventure, workshop, it's quite a gentle transformation, yet a very profound transformation because of the techniques that we're using, because of the work that we're doing, because of the group dynamics that we have. It's a real cool setup. I'm real excited about it. And you'll be in a space of non-judgment, and you'll be with a bunch of people that are going through the same experience as you. So it's gonna be great. All right. So and you'll also be able to recover from the little bit of challenge that you go through by being in this awesome villa. Yeah, so it's gonna be really cool. All right, back to the presentation. I'm feeling more confident about the technical side of things now. Here is a typical day. So 9 a.m., wake up, and we'll start a little morning routine, which will involve some inner game exercises to get you peaceful and strong and solid, ready to start an exciting day. And we'll have breakfast together as well. Then 10:30 to 12:30, we'll have a morning workshop. Here we'll do tapping, psyche, psychological kinesiology. I'll do one-on-ones in front of the group. I'll do group tapping, do connection building exercises, intimacy games, state anchoring, visualization, etc. We're working through everyone's biggest fears and deepest beliefs. Then we have a delicious lunch, and then we'll have the adventure of the day, right? And I just explained to you what that is. And then 6 to 7, we have a delicious dinner. 7 to 9, we have the evening workshop or the sharing circle. And afterwards, you know, we might hang out or do whatever. But that's a typical day. And sometimes the adventure of the day is in the evening, and then, you know, during daytime, you're mostly off and you can chill in the pool or hang out or read or talk to each other or whatever. So will it be torture? That is a question that I was asked by someone who applied, and I just want to say it won't be like that at all. That's not what my teaching is about at all. You know, you'll be outside of your comfort zone, but only for short periods of time, and you're not so far outside your comfort zone that you can't handle it. So if you see this picture here, there's your comfort zone, there's the growth zone, and then your destructive zone. You're not going to be in that destructive zone. That's when you're in panic. That's when you're terrified. That's when you can't handle it. No, you're going to be in your comfort zone and sometimes a little bit in your growth zone. And after you've been in your growth zone for a little bit, you go back to your comfort zone. And in that way, you gently expand that blue circle. That blue circle is going to grow bigger and bigger and bigger in a very easy way. So this is not a retreat where you're forced to face your worst fears. Instead, you know, you do face your worst fears, but you face them internally, and we heal and neutralize these fears at their roots. You know, I'm all about gentle transformation from the inside out, so that you actually have a great time making a transformation, believe it or not. Now, it's what I've learned from my own transformation is there needs to be a balance between doing inner work, which we do in the workshops, having a challenge, which is the adventure of the day, and recovery, which is, you know, being comfortable at the retreat, you know, having a massage, chilling out in the pool, reading a book, being in the swing, hanging out, that kind of stuff. And the environment that I'm creating there with Tom, my best mate, is going to be a playful, at ease, relaxed, comfortable vibe. All right. Now, if you have severe depression or you're suicidal, or you have multiple personality disorder, then unfortunately this is not for you. This is just for if you have social anxiety. If you have any of these conditions, I suggest you reach out to a mental health care provider and get the appropriate help. Ideally, someone who's also specialized in energy psychology or EMDR or anything that addresses trauma. But if you suffer from social anxiety alone, I'm totally confident you're going to make a profound transformation on this retreat. So, yes. So next part of the presentation. Here we go. Here's why it's so awesome. So imagine what this could do for you if you go through this transformation. So you show up, you're there for a week, you spend that time, you have all of these workshops, you're outside of your normal ways of being, your normal ways of thinking, your normal ways of feeling, and all your habitual patterns are being shaken up. Your inner world gets an update. Instead of Windows 95, you're getting the latest version. Relationship with your anxiety. It doesn't become this big scary enemy anymore that's ruining your life, because for one, it's going to shrink significantly at the very least, and you're also going to develop like a different attitude towards it, so that it's not going to stop you any longer in your life. Now imagine what that does when you come back home. Imagine what that will do when you feel comfortable with yourself, when you're at ease. Imagine waking up and actually feeling safe, actually being okay with meeting other people, connecting, and it not being scary, but it feeling good, it nurturing you. And what's that going to do for the quality of your relationships? How about for your career? How about for your health? How about not just now, but 5 years into the future? Something worth considering, right? Okay, now what I cannot promise you is that for 100% sure you'll be totally anxiety-free forever, evermore. I cannot do that because I don't know your situation. All I know is that this is the ideal setup, and it's 10 times as effective as coaching. There's just so much going on. So this is going to be really, really exciting. All right, I have something very important to share as well. So boom, here's why this is totally different.
Now, here's why this is totally different. First of all, there's nothing like this anywhere in the world. Try looking for it. You'll come up empty-handed. Now, there are yoga retreats, and there's even a CBT, social anxiety intensive, that I've read about. But nothing like this that will rock your world and shift your social anxiety like no tomorrow. What makes it so special is that you'll be in an environment for 7 days where your transformation is inevitable. All you have to do is show up and follow along. I've paved the path for you, and I will lead you by the hand. So you can't make mistakes or do it wrong. All you have to do is show up and follow. So where you normally at home might procrastinate or come up with excuses or only take little action or work on the wrong things or make tiny bits of progress and get stuck or be all inconsistent, here you'll be taking massive action for 7 days. See, your problem won't be solved with more information. It's not a logical problem. It will be solved by the right kind of action and enough of the right kind of action. And that's exactly what I've designed this retreat for. And during the retreat, there is no way to procrastinate because we're all in it together. There's no way to put it off. You will for sure take tons of healing action, transformational action. Now, that might scare some people off because action is often associated with doing things that you don't want to do, like pushing yourself to forcefully face your fears. That's not what I mean by taking the right kind of action at all. Going through the healing workshops is what I'm referring to.
Showing up, being at the retreat is what I'm referring to. Being in the environment with all of us, that's what I'm referring to. And this kind of action is, for the most part, good feeling action. It'll feel good to release the burden of your past. It'll feel good to neutralize long-held patterns from your past. And it will feel incredibly liberating to finally break through from your limiting beliefs. And it will feel profoundly liberating to release stuck negative emotions from the past and reconnect with who you really are. Now, on this healing holiday, you'll be surrounded by compassion and understanding, as well as a light and playful attitude towards your issues. Through non-judgment and total acceptance for who you are, you'll heal and grow internally while having the adventure of a lifetime. And you may very well come out of it with new lifelong friendships. So how much is the investment to be part of this? Now, this connection and adventure retreat in paradise is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. I might only run it once. It's exclusive and only for a select few. Now, I've spent over a decade solving my own social anxiety, and I've invested $150,000 in my own therapy and growth as a social confidence coach. I could have bought a house for it. And I've logged 5,000 coaching hours solely working with socially anxious people in order to be able to facilitate rapid transformation from social anxiety to social confidence. So you're investing in quality here. This retreat is the best possible way to make the fastest transformation. Now, if you would have private in-person sessions with me, 1 hour would be $335. And on the retreat, you'll be spending your waking hours with me. So at least 15 hours a day. By the way, I'm not available for coaching anymore. So that's at least $5,000 a day. So for 7 days, that's $35,000. Then there's the cost of staying at the luxury retreat, the cost of delicious food, the cost of Tom's expertise and assistance, Madei's assistance, the cost of all the transport, the cost of all the adventures where we're going. So as you can see, this adds up. Now, I'm not going to charge you $50,000, though it'd be worth it. The price is just $4,997, excluding your flight. What does this include? It includes luxury accommodation at our villa, your own massive, luxurious room, transfer from and to the airport, all food for those 7 days, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, all transport, all the workshops, all the adventures, and a lifetime transformation.
Well said, Sebastian. Yeah. So what I want to say about that is this is not just an investment in yourself right now. This is an investment for your future. You know, I said I invested about $150,000 in my personal journey and my journey as a coach, but of just my personal stuff, I've maybe invested, like I was thinking about it the other day, $85,000 to get there, and a whole bunch of years as well. And you know, if I had to do it again, I would, because the freedom that I have now, being able to joke around, have a good time, look forward to the weekends, go wherever I want to go, look forward to meeting people, going social dancing, traveling all over the place and go to different places and just show up and make new friends. Like this inner freedom, like waking up and feeling good about myself, just looking in the mirror, being able to smile at myself and like, hey, I love this guy. This is a good guy. I like him, you know, and I feel good about sharing this person with others, and I feel at ease doing so. That is such a tremendous freedom and liberated feeling. That's worth anything. So I'll do it again in a heartbeat, you know. So it is an investment in your future. So think about, what if you don't solve your social anxiety? It's a bit grim to even consider it, but you know, if you don't resolve it, how's that going to affect your relationships even more going into the future? You know, how is it going to affect your career? You know, I won't go into this too much because it's so depressing, but you know, turn it around. What if you go through this retreat? What does that
then going to do for your future? How is you being more comfortable with yourself, more at ease with yourself, feeling good about who it is that you are and presenting that person to other people? How's that going to affect your future? How's that going to affect your relationships, the significant other that you might choose or that you're currently with? How is it going to benefit your relationships when you feel good about yourself? You know, how's it going to affect your career? How's it going to affect your health? How's it going to affect the people around you? Right? This is big. Right? It's really big. So, back to the presentation. Man, I'm a technical miracle. Boom. Bonus. Yes. So here's a bonus. Aside from the likelihood that the people coming to this retreat, that you're going to become close friends with these because you'll go through such a profound experience together. You know, this is 7 days. That's a long time to start with. And you know, I've gone to healing experiences together, and in 2 hours you get super close with people and you have new friends. Let alone 7 days. You know, it's gonna be quite profound. Now, I'm also gonna create a secret Facebook Insiders Club just for the people on the retreat, so that you have that mastermind afterwards. This way you can stay in touch, keep each other inspired, and assist each other throughout remaining hurdles or obstacles that might come up in your life. So you'll have your own little mastermind. All right. Now, I had someone apply who said, hey, can you guarantee with 100% certainty that I'll be totally anxiety-free by the end of the retreat? And I, of course, had to tell her that that's something that is impossible for me to promise. Every person is unique. Every social anxiety problem is unique. But what I can promise you is that I have 100% confidence that those 7 days on our retreat will change you in a profound way. The healing process I've planned for you is bound to facilitate a deep, lasting change that will last you a lifetime. And my confidence is based both upon facts and a lot of personal and professional experience. See, your social anxiety is there as a result of your brain perceiving threats socially, or it perceiving that it's not safe to be yourself unfiltered, or that you can't cope. Now, the reason for this perception of danger is limiting beliefs. When you deep down believe that you're not good enough, that you can't make mistakes, that people won't like you, or that there's something wrong with you, then your brain sees certain social situations as threats, because you could make mistakes, get hurt, embarrass yourself, ruin your reputation, and so on. And because of this threat, this small almond-sized part of your brain called the amygdala activates the fight, flight, freeze response. Your hypothalamus communicates with the pituitary gland, which turns on the adrenal gland, and your body is filled with cortisol and adrenaline, and your whole system is prepared to deal with the threat that your brain is perceiving. Now your heart rate increases, your mouth goes dry, you might start to sweat, breathing becomes shallow, blood goes away from your head and digestive system into your outer limbs, optimally preparing you to fight the danger as best you can, run from it as hard as you can, or freeze and play dead. You start doom thinking, coming up with all these worst case scenarios, being all in your head, and voila, you have the experience of social anxiety. So social anxiety starts when there's a perception of threat socially. And this perception of threat is there as a result of limiting beliefs. A common one, for example, is I'm not good enough. Now, these beliefs are very similar to thoughts, but there is a key distinction. They are emotionalized thoughts. That's why you can't just change your thinking. Now, a belief like I'm not good enough is also just a thought, but it's a thought that feels true. And that's the key distinction. And it feels true because you have emotional evidence to prove that it is indeed true. Repetitive negative childhood experiences, like a critical dad or an overprotective mom and so on, and specific negative life experiences, like getting rejected by your crush, is where you learned this. This is where you learned that you're not good enough. It's these experiences that our brain points to as emotional proof that indeed you're not good enough. Now, with energy psychology, we can eliminate this emotional proof even if you don't consciously know where a belief comes from. By using energy psychology in the right way, we will release, let go of, and neutralize all of these. With energy psychology, we will clear any and all of the smaller parts that make up your social anxiety in both a gentle and effective way. And as we release the limiting beliefs responsible for perceiving threats socially, your brain won't have to activate the alarm to warn you away from it. No perception of threat equals no social anxiety. Now, I can't guarantee that coming to the retreat solves all of your social anxiety forever, but what I can guarantee is that I've put the best possible conditions in place and that I'll use anything and everything I have to facilitate your biggest transformation possible. Now, it might not sound like much, but consider that I've overcome my own social anxiety and have been coaching hundreds of socially anxious clients for nearly a decade. I've logged 5,000 coaching hours, studied all the most prominent social anxiety solutions that are out there, and I've interviewed countless psychologists, researchers, doctors, coaches, healers, and psychotherapists on their best social anxiety solutions. On top of that, I've received over 500 hours of coaching, healing, and therapy sessions from the top people in the energy psychology world, including tons of sessions with my own psychotherapist mentor, who's a therapist to therapists. And I've also taken workshops all over the world with the leaders in the most advanced energy psychology techniques. I've been immersed in social anxiety and its solutions for 17 years. That's longer than it takes most people to get their PhD in something. This is half my life. And since I suffered from it so intensely, this has been both an obsession and a passion. Now, I love what I do, I really do. And I've solely focused my time on solving social anxiety for myself and my clients. And thanks to this, I'm thankfully consistently able to help my clients shift.
So in short, I've done the work and I feel confident that I can help you. And the best way to do this that I can possibly think of, that I've been thinking of for a long time, is this retreat. All right. So it doesn't get much better than that. All right. And I want to share with you the next slide where, yeah, why to come now. All right. So, God, the toggling back and forth, very, very good. So I generally don't know if I'm going to do this again. I know that I'm going to run it this one time and I'll see how I feel about it, but I don't even know if I'll be living in Bali next year. But this time I'm going to run it for sure. It's going to happen. There are 3 people that have committed to it, that have paid. Their flights are booked. They're coming. And there are only 4 more seats available. So this is your time. If you're considering it, go for it. All right. So here we go. So back to my presentation. Yeah, here's an extra bonus. Now, people, you might think, well, is this too good to be true? Is this for real? And will my results last? And yes, it's absolutely real. And yes, results are lasting. The way energy psychology works is we uncover and neutralize excessive negative emotions, traumatic memories, and limiting beliefs that cause or contribute to your social anxiety. And when this is released, it's permanently released. Now, you might still have some limiting beliefs left that we didn't get to release on the retreat, but who knows, maybe not. But if that is the case, it likely won't be the big ones, as your biggest problems and limiting beliefs is what we focus on getting rid of throughout the retreat. Plus, you'll be able to handle these most likely on your own with the techniques that you'll learn on the retreat. And, you know, as a little extra bonus, there will also be 2 group webinar check-ins after the retreat and 1 personal one-on-one session of 90 minutes with me. So I've got you covered. All right. So that's it. All right. Doesn't get much better than that. I've said all I had to say. You know, this is an opportunity of a lifetime. I'll be there with my best buddy. I'll be watching you and everyone else like a hawk. We'll be going through these amazing transformational workshops. I put all of my techniques on the table, Psyche, EFT,
logo synthesis. We go through these experiences together. We'll bring up your stuff. You'll work through it. You'll have new and unique experiences. You'll become stronger. You'll become more resilient. You'll become more at ease and self-accepting. You'll feel lighter. I don't know what to say anymore. So this is it. To apply for this, I want you to go to a particular link because I want to speak with everyone prior and then make a good selection. So here's how to apply. Go to bit.ly/adventure retreat yes. So bit.ly/adventure retreat yes. And I'll put that in screen again. I just want to see if anyone has any questions. If so, I can answer them right now. Okay, well, that's a long silence. I could fill it up with lots of talk. I can talk about nonsense endlessly, but I think, yeah, we've got it covered. I'll play you a final little video, which I think is quite inspiring. Here we go.
And very hermit-like, closed off, not much energy to go out and do things. And the way I would feel like, like everyone was inside of my head and just completely, unnecessary level of being anxious. And it was very debilitating. It was very debilitating. And most of the time I would just look for a good time to leave, pretty much.
And what do you mean people were in my head?
I guess I felt like people thought I was weird or, maybe thought I was off or something like that, of that nature. Yep, I had done the hypnotherapy, regular counseling with a psychologist. Yeah, for a long time. I did those things for a long time and didn't really see as much benefits that I've seen as now. So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it felt like before the coaching, it just got worse over time because I was avoiding it. So whenever I was in the situation, I found it, just worse and worse. Like it used to be so bad to the point where I would plan to go somewhere and I would be like outside or close to the event and just like immediately, like change my mind and say, oh, well, I'm not going to go to this party or whatever. And now it's like, I just go. Like that whole process has just like alleviated. Like it doesn't happen anymore. It's like if someone invites me somewhere, I just go. And it's just cool. It's cool not to like feel that at all. Right? It's really cool. A lot better. Like a lot better. Like it's to the point to where like sometimes it still surprises me. Honestly, I guess just because of just so long of isolating myself, it still like surprises me just how, now it's like I'm just much more calmer, much more present in the moment. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Well, throughout the tapping, I would definitely say that the more I addressed it and the more I tapped, there was more acceptance, more relaxation while talking about it, making it so, while I'm tapping, I can't get upset about it. So I think that just led to me accepting it and having very started to develop more of an outward perspective after the coaching and just like gradually, I got out of the cycle of that habitual isolation, and it got to the point where I started like seeking to go places and really wanting to get out of the house and do something.
Okay.
Yeah. Another benefit I would say, just self-acceptance, man. I think that's been a big one for me. Just, and that's another thing too. I feel like I've been more able to just express myself without fear of judgment or criticism. It's definitely these past couple of weeks. It's just been express myself, and if someone doesn't like me, okay, like, like, all right, that's fine. And there's been a lot of peace in that. So yeah, it's amazing to me. It's times throughout my day to where I just significantly notice the differences that tapping has made, and it's just like, wow, I wasn't comfortable doing this a couple months ago, and it works, man. It works miracles. Like that's my overall message right there.
I was hesitant a lot about it because I wasn't sure if it's gonna work, because I tried before other things and it didn't work. So I can say that that's it. I wasn't sure about it, and I wasn't convinced that in the start that it will solve the problem by tapping.
Yeah.
So now I can say I'm so relaxed and so calm, and that's what I liked more about, because I used to be very nervous, very anxious. Now I can socialize very normally. I don't like overthink about situation when I'm in social situations. It wasn't the case before, and what most of all, like, I can speak out my mind. That's what I also get it from the session and from the coaching. Like when we are in situations, when we are in discussion, I usually use it like in a situation, like I speak out my mind. And if I did, I just talk I give the perspective or the idea like the majority of the people. And I never I don't want, because I don't want to be criticized, I don't want to be judged. But now I speak out my mind, even if it's against them. And what's happening now, I don't feel like I'm afraid when I speak them out. Before, when my heart's not beating when I say something is different from the majority, because they judge, they still judge me, but the emotion that I get after judgment is not. I don't feel like terrified, and it's nice to speak it without fear. The fear was a soul killing for me. It was a big. It used to have a big place in my heart and my feelings and my everything. And it has started to go away. I start to feel better in situations, even when I face any situation. I feel like I'm able to face it with no fear, no shame, no embarrassment. What if this happened or this happened? No, everything goes smoothly. The situation is still the same and the people still the same, but the way I'm acting toward it and the emotions I get when I interact with people is very different. It's very calm and relaxed. It's not, I used to feel like I'm always in war, always I have to defend myself if something happened, or I'm scared for things to happen. Now, this is not the scenario now. It's more calm, relaxed. Even if things happen, it comes automatically, so you respond very calm. Things comes easily. There's no complications in the situation, like it used to be before. Yes. Because I arrived to a point before, I couldn't enjoy any moment anymore, but now I enjoy the simplest thing in life, and that's what I'm so happy about. It brings happiness, and I feel happy about it, and I like it. Yes, in everything I'm doing now, I feel like there is it's a meaning now. There is the meaning, feel like reborn, because everything before wasn't, all the feelings, the emotions wasn't alive for me, I can say. But now it's going to life again.
Yeah, beautiful, awesome.
Exactly. It helped me a lot. It solved many deep issues in my life, and I'm moving forward, very empowered, and I'm happy with this.
This is really awesome.
I'm so happy.
Yeah.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy.
You look good.
I am.
Yeah, you look
Yes.
happy. Radiating.
I am.
That's good.
I am, and I'm really happy. Like now to move forward, I can't wait. Like to start what I want to do in my life, and I'm happy with it. I'm happy.
Awesome.
And I'm exciting about it, you know. And I'm happy that there is no fear in the ambient anymore. You know, that's something very important to me to take this fear out of my body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
It was very fruitful, and I really wish for everyone to start taking really, if they are in these situations like this, to take like tiny steps. It will work. It's worth it, you know, to try it. It's worth it. It's because it works.
I saw quite a lot of lasting results. I'll give you one example. So whenever there's like someone who looks a bit rough coming down the street, I always cross the road, you know. But I worked through some of the memories and to why I think that might be the case. And then I was walking down the street one day and I saw someone, a rough-looking person, coming towards me, but I didn't really have the same reaction. I was kind of like, oh, they're the type of person that would, I don't know, be an arsehole to me. Whatever. I walked past them and nothing happened. You know, I didn't feel one way or the other that is like, oh, that's done now. It's just that those memories have been put to rest.
I felt inferior to people when I walked into the room. It didn't matter like who the person was or how long I had known that person or anything. It was like a deeply instilled belief that I had. And you helped me with that. And from that day on, I have never ever one time felt like someone was above me. I just felt like everyone is on the same level. Like now on the company that I work on, like me and the CEO, I don't see him above me one bit. Like I see him as a friend, a really good friend. So that has been super nice.
I wanted to work on connecting with people, being more present, being comfortable, while interacting with other people in a way that also made them comfortable. And I wanted to be more in the moment instead of in my head. And I made a lot of those improvements already, just working in 3 sessions with Sebastian. You know, I've already set the foundation, and now I'm excited to see how I can build on that. And I recommend anyone else who's thinking about to give it a try. He's extremely easy to work with. He does a lot of the heavy lifting during the session. He'll be totally present with you, totally engaged.
I'm so thankful for your coaching. It honestly, it means so much to me. There was really something really significant after my sessions with you that I don't feel that I consciously could grasp. You know, I just followed along with what you said, and it really helped a lot. So thank you.
Nice. Great. Yeah. Because that
Fair enough.
nice.
I would definitely recommend this. It's powerful. I think when you find, you know, these core issues that you dealt with, and you do the tapping with it, and especially doing the coaching with you one-on-one, because you know all the right questions to ask and everything. I think a person really can knock down those walls of resistance and fear and really experience more freedom because of the tapping.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. And I hope to see you on the retreat. All right. Signing off now. bit.ly/adventure retreat. Yes, go there now. Bye-bye.